what I want to talk to you about right now is the last podcast we talked about how fucking awesome the Penguin was. But that was before they did the series finale. I'm saying series finale, not season finale, because I don't want them to be. It was so good, I don't want it to be a second season. I want the rest of the storyline to take place in Batman Part 2 and Batman Part 3.
It's scary, isn't it? Because you always worry that season 2, the
sophomore jinx.
The sophomore jinx, man, because we've seen it so many times when we have a show we love. Remember way back when Hero came out? Like
first season, awesome.
Second season, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know? Same thing with, I got to say, man, House of Dragon.
Excellent.
House of the Dragon, first season was off the chain.
Second season, slow. First season was setting you up for the war.
Yeah.
And then second season was talking about the war.
I am praying that Arcane, I've not seen all of Arcane yet, but I'm praying that season 2 is as good as the first season, because first season I was a huge fan of the first season. I mean, some of the imagery of that. I saw the first episode. It was good, but it seemed like it was missing something. You know?
Well, now I'm going to rewatch Arcane so I can get me geared up to go into season 2. Now, I will say this. You know, watching the first episode, come on.
Yeah.
Let's get through episode 2, 3 before you start making that kind of judgment call, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Just right off the bat.
I tell you a show that I really want, I'm really rooting for the second season, and that is Andor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
Andor. I'm pleased, for the love of God.
I think we'll be good with Andor. And the only reason why I think Andor would be different than Andor ended on an excellent note. I mean, to be fair, you could have ended Andor, and I could go right from Andor then to Rogue One.
Right.
But I think season 2 is going to be just as good. So I have very high hopes for Andor. So, but what I want to ask you, though, is the series finale of The Penguin dropped a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
So my question to you is, did they stick the landing?
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, just letting everybody know, there's spoilers, and we're gonna drop spoilers on the whole season, but particularly on the finale.
I thought the finale was excellent. There were some big surprises, in there. In a way, you kind of thought maybe that could happen, but they had the balls to actually do it. You can say it. Well, yeah, no, I mean where they killed Victor, especially.
Yeah,
that was a shocker. I thought for sure they was going to keep Victor around for at least, if they did this season 2, for another season, right?
Right.
And I love the psychoticness of that, because the whole reasoning for him to kill him was that he couldn't have anybody see his weakness. Because Victor witnessed him at his weakest.
Yep.
And he could not have that. And that was pretty terrifying and pretty insanely genius at the same time. It's because you understand why he did it. It's like, yeah, I get it. Mobster, a kind of guy in that kind of position, you can never have anybody have anything over you, right?
Yeah. Well, also in that episode, he recognized that Victor was the person that got all the underbosses to turn on the bosses.
True.
Because remember, the reason Penguin was able to get over on Sophia was that Victor was able to make a deal through Victor, through the underbosses who didn't want to be second anymore. They wanted to be first.
Right.
So there's two ways to look at it. Penguin killed Vic, mainly because he doesn't want that weakness. He was basically killing the last humanity of himself by killing this kid. Second of all, the fact that Victor could, at some point, he's smart. And he says that when he was talking to him, when they were sitting there. And how brilliant the scene was. Because the episode, I thought itself, and we'll break it down, but I thought the episode was excellent. But as he's talking, after all the stuff that went on and what happened with Sophia and the betrayal and all that stuff, the moment he was sitting there on the park bench and they were talking, first thought is
you kind of knew, right?
I went no, no, and it kept going on, and especially when it was just like, you were always there, Vic. You're always there. You saw me at my highs, my lows, and that was a smart deal you pulled. It was all this stuff. He was complimenting him. And I was like, okay. I just kept going, no. But then when Victor turned around and said, you're like family. And the episode prior to that showed the penguin kill his brother. We see what the penguin does to family. He had that look. I said to myself, he's a dead man. He's going to kill him. And the way that they shot it and the way that he literally killed this kid with his bare hands, it was so brutal. Oh. The show does an excellent job of reminding you that he is a villain, pure and simple. He might be someone you may root for. He might be somebody you might like or admire because he's an underdog in some ways. But not only is he a villain, but he's a monster.
He's a psychopath.
And the fact that you saw that all the way when he was a kid, when they showed him killing his brother, just locking him in there, at a kid, how evil that little bastard was.
You know, it's interesting, as intense and psychotic as the killing of Victor was, there was something so disturbing about leaving those brothers inside. Oh yeah, inside the sewer while the water was slowly raising, and the thing they kept on cross cutting, between the hatch door that was locked, and you could hear them crying and screaming and help me, and then they would cut back to him cuddling up with his mom. And under blankets watching the old Fred Astaire movie.
Yeah, Top Hat.
And he even would look back and he would look at the rain hitting the windowsill and that one jar that was filling up with water.
Oh yeah.
I thought imagery wise that was excellent.
And then he would look from the window back to his mom with that smile on his face.
Right.
And then that moment they went back to that door where the brothers were, where they were screaming, and then they were cut back and forth into that one last shot where it was silent.
Yeah.
I remember when he closed the door, I was watching that, and I actually had a gasp. I went,
he's not going to do that, right?
Well, because you were led to believe that the brothers died by natural causes or something like that.
A car crash or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe they were in trouble and the penguin went to try to, Oz went to try to get help. When he closed the door on them, and that's something that kids can do. They pissed off, they're angry, whatever. Right from that get-go, you realize, hell, he was little Damien from birth, really, as a kid. And then to find out that the mom, not only she knew about it, and this is where I would say where flashbacks. Usually, I'm not a big fan of flashbacks sometimes because sometimes, especially when it's right towards the end of the episode, because rarely do they give that kind of information that's going to matter in the present time of the story. This one mattered because you find out the mom, not only she knew about it, and great acting.
She was going to have him taken out.
She was going to have him taken out by the Rex, by the same gangster that he admired, the same guy that he told that monologue in the very first episode. The crafting of this story is so well done, and it's all from the writers, especially the show writer Lauren LaCraft or something like that. I'm sure I'm butchering up her name. Matt Reeves, Colin Farrell, Christina, who plays Sophia, Vic. It's just like, this is when they tell you throughout the entire story who this character is. So when you get to a finale, a final episode, very rarely do you stick that landing. And the fact that they opened the scene with the mom confronting Oz, that I know you killed my boys. I had enough love for all three of you guys. And the fact that the penguin wouldn't even admit, even when they were threatening to cut her finger off.
She even says, "You sick bastard, you're going to let him cut my finger off."
The look on Sophia's face is like, what's wrong with you? It's like, no, he's in a room full of murderers. But even she looked at him like, what kind of monster are you?
Yeah.
And
this is coming from someone who killed the whole family.
Who killed her whole family. Even she looks at him as, you disgust me. It's like, but yeah, he wouldn't even admit it. He wouldn't even admit that. So, and the idea that all three characters around Oz suffered almost a fate worse than death, with the exception of Victor. Because you think about it, Victor, the one last thing that Victor wanted was he wanted more, but he didn't want to die on nobody, which is what happened.
Right.
He should have got on that bus, but he didn't, and he put all his trust and all his faith into Oz. The wrong guy.
Yeah.
Sophia's fate would have been better if you killed her. But instead, you put her back in Arkham. And we saw that great episode in episode 4 where we saw what Arkham Asylum has done to her. They took someone innocent and made her a monster.
Right.
And her mom, remember Oz had that conversation with his mom, I think it was episode 3, where she says, if something ever happens to me, promise me you're going to kill me. I don't want to be a vegetable. I don't want to be, if I can't take care of myself. And he promised. So what happens to the mom? He keeps the mom in a penthouse, which he promised he was going to do, and you get that one tear that's in his eyes, and he thinks, I know, Mom, it's everything you could ask for. No, she was like, you fucking monster.
Well, no, because
you could have killed me.
His lens, right?
Yes.
Because it's all whatever makes him happy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like he completely ignores whatever she wanted because, oh, yeah, Mom, I got you. And I got to say, man, that freaky scene at the end with the girlfriend dressed up like the mother and they're dancing. He goes, tell me you love me, Mama.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me you're proud of me.
Not since Norman Bates did you find the most sickest, perverse role play. He gets Eve to dress up as his mom. It was something that Hitchcock would be proud of.
Yeah.
It was very vertical. But that's what I'm talking about. This is why I think it's an excellent show.
Yeah.
I think the way that they were able to build character first and then world build Gotham. What I thought was also incredible is when we were talking about you had little Oz watching the old black and white movies with his mom. They were watching Top Hat. It didn't occur to me that, oh, wait a minute, that's where Penguin got his look.
Outfit.
Yeah, the top hat, the tuxedo, which you see him actually now finally
in the last episode.
In the last episode.
I thought it was interesting. He didn't put the top hat on, but he had it in his hand.
He didn't need to. Yeah. He didn't need to. Yeah. And when he came into the apartment, he put the top hat over the umbrella. Right. That's what I'm talking about. He actually looked like Al Capone in The Untouchables. Right. But it worked because I never would have saw Oz wearing a tuxedo and looking like that. But now I can, and it makes me so much more excited for the Batman because now this is a different character. Oz
he reinvents himself.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I felt I guess he felt like he needed to kill Victor as well, because he now is a completely new persona.
He's more of an opponent for the Batman.
Yes.
Because remember, he was a lackey in the movie. And it was smart that they didn't have him. They started him early in the film. It wasn't. We didn't have to go back to like, oh, he was the Penguin already at the height of his powers. Let's go back and see how he got there. No, the Batman started him as a lackey, and so the story was always moving forward and seeing how he progressed and the shit that he did with Sophia and how she progressed in Arkham. And it was really the best of all the Batman movies or shows that depicted Arkham as this most terrifying hell on earth place, especially the episode of what Sophia has to go through. Now, because
her psychiatrist is a pretty creepy dude too.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody that's working Arkham is either super villain or just super creepy.
Right. Yeah.
But no, the show it stuck the landing.